do remember. See, it did mean something to you.
You'll always be my rock bottom.
Where you registered? I'll buy you a broomstick.
Just stop! Time and time again, we see in these movies, TV shows, and my personal favorite, telenovelas, where you have this common little thing called the miscommunication trope. It has been going on for far too long, and every time this happens, I scream. I do believe this is truly one of those tropes that should just die, because when is it ever done well? Except from one example I'm going to give here. Oftentimes, we have person A talking some shit, usually about person B, but then Uno reverse card, it's usually either taken out of context or they're just saying it for some stupid ass reason that they're being forced to say it or something. But then person B will overhear this because they have an ear of a snake, and then they'll be like, oh shit, person A is such a scummy person. Get me away from them. I'm mad now. I'm upset. I'm upset. Little do they know that it's actually not true. Little do they know they're being stupid about it and not using two lips to communicate to them. Why did you say that? Why did you just say? And I think the reason why people are so tired of this trope is because it feels lazy. Because when in our normal everyday lives do we ever hear people talking some shit about us? And specifically our love interest? In what world? It doesn't happen. I feel like that's another reason why people are pretty tired of this trope, because it's just not relatable. Please comment below if this has ever happened to you. I cannot say. I cannot say for myself when this has ever happened to me, because it hasn't. Tell me when this has happened to you if you weren't born in the 18th century. It's just really annoying. So it begs the question why they keep doing this in particular romantic situations, other than for lazy plot convenience. Okay, we need some kind of conflict. We need something to drive these two apart. Oh, let's just make them miscommunicate with each other. All this to say, let's just quit it. Let's find something new for conflict, please. It's tiring. I'm tired. Are you tired? I'm tired. And you know why I say this too is because they haven't stopped this. No. They've actually expanded on this by making this a part of the beginning of a movie. Because yes, oftentimes this is towards the end of a film that this will happen. I am going to spoil some rom-com slash Shrek if you haven't seen Shrek, but I'm assuming you would have seen Shrek by now, or else what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? I will judge you for that if you haven't seen Shrek. I'm sorry. Usually, like I said, it's used towards the end of a film, sometimes maybe in the middle towards end of the film. But in anyone but you's case, nah, baby, let's put that shit at the beginning. Let's make that actually the catalyst of the events that are about to take place in this film. Oh, who really said in these modern 2020 times, yeah, let's do that miscommunication trope again? The writer really just went ahead and said, yes, how many times have my friend had a one-night stand with some dude and then left, but then decided not to leave, and then came back to hearing him talking shit about you with his friend who just so happened to come over right at the same time that you left? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand how ridiculous this is, truly? Do you hear it? It's this whole enemies to fake dating to lovers romance story. But to be enemies in the first place, they really did the miscommunication trope here to make them hate each other. Basically, these two hit it off. She's trying to piss at a coffee shop, and for whatever frig reason, they're not letting her in, because this is America, I guess. I'm not American, so please tell me. Tell me if it's like that in your country. She's trying to piss, or shit, actually. But Glenn Powell pretends that he's her husband so that he's ordering something and that she can get the key to go piss. Go piss, girl. She thanks him by sucking his dick. No, I'm kidding. But she thanks him, and then they go have this whirlwind day together. Then they sleep together, but not actually sleep, but actually like PG-13, PG sleeping together. And then she sneaks off, and then she realizes, she's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah, I'm gonna go back and talk to him and enjoy the rest of this time with this dude. So Glenn Powell wakes up and sees she's gone without a word and gets pressed about it. He's absolutely livid. And for whatever the frig reason, his friend comes in and is talking to him about the girl. Hey, dude, wow, the tits, bro. They talk. And because Glenn Powell's pressed that she left, he tells him, yeah, that girl was nothing to me. She meant absolutely nothing to me. Who gives a about Sydney Sweeney, truly? Who cares about her, really? Does anyone really think she's hot? She literally comes back at the exact time that he's saying this about her.
I couldn't get her out of here fast enough. This girl's a disaster. She's a nothing.
And then leaves. And then that's literally it. That's literally the whole central conflict that starts their hatred towards each other, is because she left without a word, but then was going to come back and just talk to him, I guess, and spend more time with him. She just needed some fresh air or whatever to gather her thoughts. And then she overhears him talking shit about her, but because he thought that she ditched him. So. And then this actually carries on towards a good chunk of the movie. I think it's maybe not until like 40 or 50 minutes into the film that they actually apologize to each other for this and actually kind of have a conversation about it, but don't even fully have a conversation.
I didn't mean... I'm sorry.
That was just so crazy to me because, yeah, I love me a good enemies to lovers romance, but that was not it. I just thought that was stupid. To be honest, I thought that was a whack-ass excuse for them to hate each other that much. Yeah, I'd be pretty pressed if I was Sydney Sweeney more so. Glenn Powell, I think he's just being a little baby bitch. So she left you. Who cares? Who cares? It was one day that you knew her. Like, it'd be one thing if you guys were dating for months and then all of a sudden she just leaves and you never hear from her again or something. But it was one day. Oh, just... Anyway, he's just mad to be mad, essentially. No, he's mad for plot's convenience, essentially. And all of this could have been avoided if, when they saw each other again, they would have just had a conversation. An adult-ass conversation. They were already making jabs at each other when they see each other again at a bar. But, like... How old are you, Glenn Powell? I think he's supposed to be, like, 30-something in this film. And you can't just tell her, hey... I didn't appreciate you walking out on me. Sorry I said all those things about you. I didn't know you overheard me. Clearly you did overhear me. But I was just upset because I woke up, I had a good time with you, and you left. Like, can you not just be a normal human being? Beep beep boo bop. Beep beep boo bop beep. Beep beep boo bop beep. That's the way they talk. They might as well be communicating like that. Classic miscommunication number one. This funny case being how it was literally right there at the beginning of the film and they made this the central conflict. Like, be so freaking for real right now. Make him have accidentally killed her cat or something. You know what I mean? That would have given me reason to be like, dude, I hate you. Oh, I hate you. You're on a watch list to me. Going more into, though, when they do it towards the end of a film is when they usually do it as just the peak moment of conflict, if you will. The number one victim of this, that I feel it in my soul. In my soul. Deep in there, and still gets me to this day. Every time I watch this movie. Why? Why? Why did you do this? Why? I know it's just a kid's movie, but this is a crime against me. Truly. I feel personally attacked when this movie does this. Is none other than Shrek.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine. You just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh, this is the worst. This is the worst. The worst. This one is a classic case because in the first instance I was telling you about, okay, Glenn Powell is saying these things, not meaning them, but he's saying them because more so he's pressed over her. And he's saying this to his friend because he himself is butthurt and he's just saying it because of his own ego and whatever. This pisses me off to no avail, because when Shrek overhears Fiona talking about who could love such a hideous beast, she's not even talking about it. It's actual pure miscommunication to no avail, where she's talking about herself. And if he just stayed there for 2 seconds, for 2 more seconds, he would have heard her say, is the only way to break the spell.
Who could ever love a beast so hideous and ugly? Princess and ugly don't go together. That's why I can't stay here with Shrek. It's the only way to break the spell.
Oh, this is just insane to me. For those of you who haven't watched Shrek, hi, let me educate you. We have Shrek here, right? Our good old sexy swamp boy. He falls in love with Princess Fiona on their way to giving her to a short king. Like a literal short king. He's supposed to deliver her to him to be married, but along the way, Shrek himself falls in love with Fiona. As a declaration of his love to her, he puts himself out there, picks a sunflower, which is adorable. He's about to give it to her, just ready to profess. Ever since they ate rats together, he was like, that's my queen. That's my girl. So, he's about to say his feelings, but then lo and behold, this is when Fiona just so happens to be talking to Donkey. And as we, the audience, then find out, she has her own spell where she turns into an ogre at night. So Donkey ends up discovering her in her ogre form. And she's explaining to him her story. But while she's explaining to him her situation and her story, she starts putting herself down. Who could love me? Who could love such a hideous beast? Referring to herself, okay? Not Shrek. However, because Zeus Ex Machina, timing, plot convenient, Shrek overhears the exact moment when Fiona is saying, who could love such a beast? And then he walks away before he can hear her say, it's the only way to break the spell. But the way this pisses me off so much because of the fact that she literally was not even talking about Shrek. Obviously, you know, to Shrek's defense, obviously he wouldn't think he would be talking about anybody but him, considering that he doesn't even know she has a spell on her. He has no clue that she turns into an ogre, right? So it would make the most logical sense for Shrek to think, oh, obviously she's talking about my green ass, my mud filthy ass. But if he would have just stayed for a few more seconds, he might have put together like, oh, what spell? Wait, is she talking about me? What spell? What is she talking about? And then could have heard more on what she was actually saying. But nope. And even worse, to add on to this miscommunication, Shrek comes back and tells Fiona how he heard every word of what she was saying last night. So then Fiona thinks that he fully knows about her curse and fully knows that she turns into an ogre. And then she says, well, I thought that didn't matter to you. And he's like, yeah, it does. Making Shrek look like this superficial asshole. So this then makes Fiona upset at Shrek, because she thinks that he is only into her looks and that the looks do matter to him. That drives the remainder of the film, obviously, where it's this whole miscommunication. So Shrek takes it upon himself to deliver her short king. And then we have the whole, I heard there was a secret. But you don't really care for music. But honestly, why did that slap so hard? Why did this hit so hard when we were kids? It's still, not even as kids, like it still slaps. True cinema right there. And then Donkey ends up telling him that she wasn't talking about him, and they end up, you know, making out, and he defends her from Short King, R.I.P. Short King. The way this pisses me off in Shrek. Still a 10 out of 10 film, I don't care. Still 10 out of 10, I don't care. I'll just forgive it because it's Shrek. You know which one I won't forgive though? That some might say is a masterpiece in itself for our generation and generations to come, but Nah, I don't really forgive this one, to be honest. This was goofy. High School Musical. This one was interesting because it had external sources contributing to this. So they do it in a funny way here, right? Okay, if you're not familiar with High School Musical, let me educate you. We have Troy here, basketball guy, and he meets Gabriella. They sing a song together on New Year's, and then are just immediately in love, I guess, after that. You sing one karaoke song, and you're tied. You're tied for life. That's just the way it works. Gabriella ends up transferring to his high school, and then he's just like, oh my god, it's that bitch. They end up wanting to do a musical together because that's their passion, that's their dream. It's not his dream to be a basketball star. He wants to be on Broadway doing Wicked. He wants to be the next Fiyero. But because of class, society, the pressure, their friends actually are pressed about it. The homeboys are like, this bitch is taking our guy away. She's taking our man away from what's really important, which is winning these games, winning basketball, because that's all that matters in life. And then Gabriella, she also has her mathlete science fair. I don't even know. She has her mathalon, scientathlon, whatever the hell team that she meets with that now she's not meeting with as much because of the musical. So both friends are like, whoa, we need to come up with a plan. These two are too much in their honeymoon phase right now that we need our people back. We need their head in the game. So both groups of friends actually construct this plan to have it so that they break up from each other because pressure. And freaking Corbin Blue has it so that he's riling Troy up, essentially. He's like, do you not care for this team? Are you not? Is your head not in the game? Are you not here? And then as soon as Troy is trying to defend himself, being like, Gabriella means nothing to me. She means nothing at all. Like, I'm gonna do that thing, but you guys are my boys. The boys. While he's saying all that, the guy literally records it on this 2000s ass camera. And during this, I guess they made it so that it's a live stream, so that the Mathalon people also show it to Gabriella on live stream on this laptop so that she can see everything he's saying live. I also think this is hilarious because what if he wouldn't have said anything? Because it's live. It's not like they recorded it and then they saw the recording and then gave it to Gabriella. No, like they were actually doing this live stream. So they were banking on him saying some shit. Just imagine if Troy would have been like, nah, I love you guys, but Gabriella's my priority. I love Gabriella, and I love this musical. What if he would have said that? Then this would have just been some goofy shit. Gabriella would have been like, oh, swoon. Absolute swoon. Cool. Thanks for showing me this, guys. I'm gonna go back to my boyfriend now. Anyways, yeah. He ends up saying his shit. Gabriella gets upset, and then her friend is also just like, yeah, so see you later. Bye.
Did you want to grab some lunch?
And then they break up. And then that's the whole climax of the film before they get back together and sing they're all in this together. Oh no, not that one. We're breaking free, you're soaring, flying. There's not a star in heaven that we can reach. Honestly, why was this not nominated for an Oscar is my question. But yeah, that one was just so hilarious because truly you had the friends involved with this. It wasn't even just a miscommunication thing. The friends literally made this plan to try and separate the two by having him say some shit, but banking on that he would say some shit just for their own personal gain. Like, isn't that just wild? What friend group does that just to get these two broken up with? Like, how much time do you really have on your hands for that? Didn't you say you have basketball to practice? Maybe if y'all spend more time practicing your basketball and not doing some goofy shit like this, then you would make it to nationals. How about that? How about that? Maybe if you spend more time mathing and practicing your science equations, you would win championships instead of this goofy shit. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. But yeah, that one was just hilarious and just so unrealistic. Like, even more so. The amount of effort that was put into the craftsmanship, the blueprint, wow, the production value that went into it. Crazy. The next one I want to talk about before mentioning the last one that I actually think did it decently well. Before I talk about that, one more that I just need to talk about, because this isn't even a communication where it's words being spilled. This is actually just an action of miscommunication, which is interesting that movies also tend to do. So this one would be The Wedding Singer. Now, I love this film. Absolutely love this film. My dad especially, shout out. He watches it like every week. If y'all aren't aware of The Wedding Singer, basically the whole premise is that Julia, played by Drew Barrymore, is getting married to her dickhead fiance. And then Adam Sandler comes in and starts helping her out with all her planning and is basically a friend to her that helps her throughout all of her planning of her wedding and stuff. And through that time spent together, they end up falling in love. But she's still engaged to her dickhead fiance. So, in a moment of Adam Sandler having the courage to tell her his feelings, he looks in the window to her house, which is perfectly placed, where she's standing in front of a mirror that's also in front of the window, so Adam Sandler can see her. And while she's standing in front of the mirror, she looks all happy in her wedding dress. She's wearing her wedding dress, and she's just laughing and giggling and looking just so happy in front of the mirror. So Adam Sandler takes it that, oh, she looks so happy. She's in her wedding dress, so she's probably getting herself excited to marry this guy. So he doesn't even hear her say anything. It's literally just viewing her in her actions, where he takes it as, okay, I guess I can't ruin her happiness. I'm not going to admit my feelings for her because she's obviously happy. And then he leaves, doesn't say anything to her. And then his ex ends up visiting him while he's down on his luck. So then they end up sleeping together because he feels hopeless and is just wanting a good I guess. But then Uno reverse card. Oh, Julia, aka Drew Barrymore, was in her wedding dress, but previously talking to her mom about how she's unsure about marrying that man and how she's not feeling ready to marry this man and doesn't really know if she wants to. And then when she's first in front of the mirror on her own, she starts practicing saying her name as Mrs. Gulia. Julia Gulia. This is Julia Gulia. She starts crying. She starts crying and getting upset about it because she just can't stand the fact of marrying this man. She doesn't want to marry this man. She starts practicing that in front of the mirror, and then she starts practicing saying his last name in front of the mirror instead, Adam Sandler.
I'm Mrs. Robbie Hart.
And then that's when she starts getting excited and happy in front of the mirror because she's thinking about marrying Adam Sandler's character, and she's thinking about how it would be like being with him and if she was Mrs. Hart. That's when Adam Sandler sees her all happy. So it's miscommunication on that part through this action. She's talking about you, bruh. She's getting excited thinking about marrying you. This would have been a case where it would have been great if he would have listened. If he would have overheard her. That would have been great. After that, she is then ready to tell him her feelings. But like I said, because he thought that she's in love with her current fiance, he then sleeps with his ex, and then when she comes knocking at his door, his ex opens the door and basically insinuates that they slept together to Julia, and then she gets heartbroken. And then she ends up trying to marry the fiance because she's like, hey, well, obviously he's getting back together with his ex, and he doesn't actually love me either, so... Oh, when does that happen? Also going to each other's doors. When does that happen? Wouldn't you call first? I don't know, with back in the day, because this was before cell phones, let me know if any of y'all know. Back in the day, even though, where there was no cell phones, wouldn't you at least call ahead of time? Hey, are you busy right now? Is it okay if I come over in a sec? Wouldn't you prep them before just visiting someone. That's like another thing I hate about these miscommunication tropes that I've noticed too, is that it's like, at the very least, wouldn't you fair warn the person? And then in modern days, wouldn't you text that you're coming over? Oh, the last one. The last one I wanted to go over that is, in my humble opinion, the least frustrating. And I think they did it relatively well, at least in comparison to these ones, because again, when would this ever happen in your life with those first scenarios? They make it as the central conflict and then just easy resolution at the end where they realize, oh, it was just miscommunication after all. Oh, let's get together then, because I realized that it was miscommunication. That's where I find it the most lazy. But this example, I think, was the least lazy and actually made the most sense. Again, still fairly frustrating, but I appreciate what they do with it and that it actually does help the plot moving forward. It lends itself to the story, I would argue. But let me know if you don't agree. Flipped. This one's interesting because if you don't know Flipped, which I don't think it's as popular, correct me if I'm wrong if you've seen the movie, but if you don't know, it's a story about boy meets girl and they're kids. They're kids when they meet each other, and almost instantly, it's like an instant love. She falls in love with him. But when I say fall in love, it's obviously the idea of him and not actually him, which is a central part of this story. And it makes sense because she's a child, but anyway. And they end up being neighbors with each other. But as kids, Bryce is immediately turned off by Julia. He's immediately like, nah, girl, I don't really like you like that, girl. You cooties. So for a good chunk of the first part of the story, it's her continuously trying to get this boy that she's convinced the love of her life, but then him constantly trying to get away from her and have her understand that it's not reciprocated. I don't feel that way about you. I'm sorry, girl. You're cute, but no. Then, as the movie continues and as they grow older, he does start to kind of see her more as a person and not just some girl that has this massive crush on him. But as he's starting to figure that out, there's an instance in the library where he's talking to his friend, and his friend is basically bad-mouthing Julia to him, and just for shits, he bad-mouths her as well. Because A, he still doesn't have full feelings towards her yet, but even he says internally that he feels bad about saying this and that he doesn't even mean it when he says this, but for some reason he just felt compelled to say it since it's, they're still relatively young. They're still going through that peer pressure type of situation when you're young and you're adolescent. So
Their dad's got a retarded brother and all their money goes to helping him.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, my friend.
He wanted to yell at him, but all that came out was, oh, right.
He just goes along with it just because, it's just a conversation with his friend, which, yeah, he didn't think she was going to hear any of that. In the meantime, she overhears this, which, again, it's one of those tropes where, similar to High School Musical and Anyone But You's case, they don't really mean it, but they're saying it for whatever reason that they feel compelled to say it. She overhears it. And then for her, though, why I do like this as part of this story, this helps her realize that maybe he isn't all that she fantasized. Maybe she did really just get infatuated with the idea of him, but not actually him as a person. And so this helps her start to respect herself more and start to value herself more, and realizing that maybe that she did jump the gun there and was crushing on some dude that doesn't even deserve the time of day. Because he was mean to her for a good chunk of this first portion of the film and their story, but she still just, fluffed it off. She was like, oh, whatever. He still likes me. It's okay. We're still meant to be. She's still in the Lulu land and is convincing herself, nah, red flag, I don't care. It's blue. It's blue to me. But this moment is a pivotal moment for her realizing, okay, maybe he actually is kind of a dick. And it just so happens to be a moment where he actually isn't meaning to be a full dick, which is ironic. But I still appreciate it because he still was being a jerk to her for a good portion, So at the very least, this is something for her to realize. Then they end up having a family dinner all together with his family and her family. And she confronts him about it. She confronts him immediately about it. And she's just like, yeah, I heard you talking shit. I heard all that shit you were talking. And I don't appreciate that. And then that then actually ends up having him respect her more because she has that self-respect for herself now. And she's not just throwing herself at him. This shows him that she also is valuing herself more now, which then in turn makes him value her more now. So to me, I actually did more so appreciate what they did with the miscommunication here, because it does add to both of their character growth and both of their development with their relationship towards each other and how they view each other. Because after this moment, that makes him, like I said, respect her more. And then towards the last part of the film, after this moment, he starts to actually realize that she is a really good person. He overlooked her this whole time, and that he actually does start developing real feelings for her. That's why with this film and the story, I didn't mind it as much because of what they do with it. I think it was relatively done well towards the character's development, the relationship development, and actually added to the story. Not the smartest way, I guess, to go about it. Like, it could have been any other moment where she realizes that he's a dick, but it ended up being, you know, a light bulb moment to her regardless, even though it was, you know, the miscommunication trope here. Yeah, I think it was done relatively well to the story. I think so. Let me know your thoughts on that one, though. Maybe you still think it was lazy. Because again, yeah, it could have been anything else. I think, too, if more films and TV shows were able to do this in a smart way, maybe think more critically on why are we putting a miscommunication in here? What are we showing from the characters here? Are we trying to have them learn to communicate more to each other? Because that could be great. That could be a moment of growth for characters if you want to throw it in there for that purpose, right? You know, you could use it in a smart way, but for the majority of the time, it's just a cheap, lazy way for them to be like, okay, let's just have some conflicts here. And if you guys want to let me know more ways where you have seen it, either a TV show. I know I used movie examples here, but I'm sure there's a lot of TV show examples for sure. If you want to comment on a moment in a TV show where you hated it, let me know of your thoughts. Let me know if you're also tired of this show. I'm just tired of it. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time. Mwah.